Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another video. This time it could be a kind of a lengthy and boring and long and nerdy video, so I don't know if it's for everyone's taste. But today we're gonna talk about airbrushing and what can airbrushing do to your flies, and what it does for me anyway. So you can take what you want from it and see if it's something that's suited for you or not, or you'll see. But by the way, welcome to my new studio, which is also my kitchen. So but I needed a bit more room, but I don't have much room here, so that's why I kind of moved into the kitchen. All right, so if I'm looking away from the camera, don't worry, it's just because I made a big long list, because it's kind of a lengthy subject, this whole airbrushing thing. I don't want to get in too much detail in the ins and out of airbrushing, but there's many tutorials on YouTube if you want for airbrushing. So if you want to get into it, definitely watch quite a few of those videos to give you an idea of what is airbrushing and all the techniques and everything. So I'm just going to go roughly around the whole subject, and I'll give you an idea if it's for you or not, and if you want to dive into it or not. So then first, I suppose, why airbrushing? What you can have for customizing streamers, it's very simple. You have either way the marker, the permanent pen, the Sharpies, or you have, please don't go that way, the Copic marker. I don't know, again, why is it advertised in fly shops and Copic marker. The problem is it's nice and handy, it makes a nice finish, but once you stick it in water and start fishing, the colors just faded away fairly fast. I didn't work. Like I tried other markers on it, and I didn't find I could get a nice thick finish, probably due to the pressure in the aerosol, the little spray can that you get with it. I got the one with the compressor as well, and I still wasn't impressed with the Copic. So, but for me, I like airbrushing because it gives you a really nice finish. Finish that's really hard to get with a Sharpie. You can blend colors. You can make a really nice combination of colors. As well, for me, I suppose if I make a series of streamers, it's easy for me and it's a lot quicker to airbrush streamers than go with a Sharpie one by one. It's time consuming with the Sharpie, and you don't always get the same finish, I feel, that with airbrushing will do for you. So what else? I suppose cost. It is definitely a more costly hobby to get into airbrushing, but it can be used not only for your streamers, but if you want to customize tails, if you started to do like me, using a cutting machine and making yourself some funky shapes and have some fun with different size of and different shape of flies. This is an upcoming video as well. That'll be like I'm planning a trip for some street fishing in Miami next year, so hopefully that'll go ahead. I'm pretty sure it's going to go ahead. I don't see why not. But I'm making a series of kind of bass, peacock and cichlid and different whatever they have swimming down there. But back to the subject, airbrushing. So yeah, cost. It's a lot more expensive at the beginning, but it's not that hugely expensive. I mean, in the long run, I don't think it's expensive at all, because the paint that you get kind of go a really long way. Like and it's not too expensive to buy. They're not paints are not that expensive to buy. But suppose the cost to start off, you need a kit. I went with a simple kit on Amazon, and I'm super happy with it. Came with a gun, I had some paint, even some cleaning brushes, the hose. And it's a really good compressor. I like it because it stores the air compressed, so you have a constant flow at the pressure that you want. Something that's not sometimes achievable, especially if you run a long series of streamers or you're airbrushing a lot. something that you don't get with the mini compressors or the portable one. I don't think you get the power of a nice normal desktop big compressor. But if you only do a streamer at a time or things like that, yeah, a little portable one, you get rechargeable one now. I think they're made for kind of body spray and cake decorating, but they work fine for streamers. So you don't need to break the bank if you don't want to go with the kit. By the way, the kit cost about €100 on Amazon, so it's not. I don't think it's that much of a big deal for what you get at the end. So yeah, then the options, yeah, like we said, you get the portable rechargeable one. That's kind of what I would consider as an entry level. Then you can have some mini desktop compressors. They're nice as well. I had one for quite some time, but the problem I had is that running longer sessions, these little desktop mini compressors, they kind of tend to overheat pretty quickly, and I didn't feel that they were giving me a constant air pressure as well after a lengthy session. So the good thing with the bigger one, they come now. One thing you have to look out for, they come with a kind of fan on the side, a cooling fan to cool the engine on longer sessions. So these ones are quite handy because you can run them for quite a while without any problem. So gun selection. Go something simple at the beginning. I think that there's loads. I've tried from the cheapest to the not even slightly more expensive, because the one I have at the moment I'm really happy with is the one that I got in the kit. So you can get a gun for like €10, or the one you have in the kit is perfectly fine. I mean, we're not doing tiny details. It's usually big stripe or blending colors. So you don't really need like really special gun to get down to these details and all. But even the cheaper guns, you can get some nice details with it. So they're definitely worth the money, and you can start with that. Now for the paints that I use, I used to go for Cretex, the Wicked color from Cretex. Quite expensive, and I don't think there's the need for that now, because I think they're more for the lure makers, or airplane model makers and things like that. So I just go for acrylic, and the one that's kind of dedicated for fabrics. And you get a lot of people customizing sneakers nowadays and doing t-shirts with airbrushing. So the one made for fabric are brilliant because they don't clog the fabric. You don't have like a sticky feeling. If you do, it's probably because you sprayed too much on your fly. And even if you do so, sometimes it kind of stiffens the fibers a bit if you put too much paint on it. But you go out fishing a couple of times, you catch a couple of fish, and straight away it'll become supple again, but it'll retain the color. So that's not too much of a problem. But yeah, simple random acrylic paint, and you get loads of colors. You can mix them up, you can have fun with them. And a little tube like that goes really, really long way, really long way. So tools, yeah. Tools, important tools to have is a cleaning kit. So a set of brushes. I'll go after the end of the video about how I clean my gun. But there's plenty of videos as well dedicated to cleaning airbrushes on YouTube. So watch those as well, because like cleaning your gun is the most important part of airbrushing. So tools, yeah. What do you need? Not much. Pair of rubber gloves, not to get yourself too much dirty. A little bit of water to dilute the paint if it's a little bit too thick, or if you want to change colors just to clean quickly your cup. That works well. By the way, that's another thing that people think it's a big con about airbrushing, is that you have it's very difficult to swap colors. Yes, it's not as easy as swapping a Sharpie, that's for sure, but it's not that much of work. Like if you don't overfill your cup with paint and you arrive at the end of the run, all you have to do, and the easiest way, is just like rinse your cup, clean it with a brush, get the worst and the most of the paint out, give it a couple of bath if you want so, and clean it, and after, all you have to do is just hold the tip of the brush. Careful not to stab yourself with the spike, because the needle is very sharp. But plug the front and inject some air, and you create a kind of a vortex that comes back into the cup. You hear it bubbling, and that super cleans your gun very quickly. All you have to do after, to make sure that there's no more paint, give it some water in the cup and spray out onto a kitchen towel or something. And as soon as you see water and no more paint, you're able to change color. But that's done fairly quickly once you're used to it. At the beginning maybe it's a bit complicated, but once you get into it and used to it, you can change and swap colors fairly quickly, so it's not a big con. Another thing that I like for tools is a pair of long nose vice grips. These are great for holding the eye of the hook, so you get a good hold with on your streamer. You're away, you don't have your fingers on it, so you can do some nice finishing, especially around where the eye of the hook is. And you can turn your fly and it's not going to come off and fall, so I really like that. Another important thing, I suppose, after is a brush, because that comes really important as preparing your streamer for spraying. I'll come back to that in a minute. But another thing that you can use that's handy is, of course, stencils. Loads of stencils online. They're cheap now, and if you have a cutting machine, you can buy the blanks and put your own design if you want, like stripes or different things like that you want. You can do the size that you want as well if you have a different type of streamer that you want to do, and just get the blank one, put it in the Cricut machine, and you get a stencil. That's pretty handy. What else? Yeah, streamer preparation. Now the thing is, what can you do with the airbrushing, the painting, the patterns? I just classify that in two. You can do it either as stripes, works really well, or blending colors. Like you could tie a completely white streamer and do a nice red head at the front, and it'll blend beautifully with the white at the back. So you can do a two-tone color like that. You can do a belly, a fire belly, that's handy. You can darken the top of the fly. But every time you do this type of spraying, it's in line with the fibers. So it's important to really brush your flies, have them nice and flat, all the fibers untangled, and then you can spray. If the fibers are tangled and you spray, once they're going to get entangled, you're going to have like paint not matching, and you won't have as nice of a finish after. Another thing that you cannot do, I don't think you can do that, because I see quite often that online on social media, where people tie a really nice fly and airbrush the fly, and it's scales. I just get a drink. Drying up, talking too much. Yeah, scales. Problem with scales on a streamer. Scales will work well on chamois, on faux chamois, on tails. Scales will work perfect, but scales won't work on fibers, because once the fibers get in the water and start moving and crossing, you can say goodbye to your scale. It's just going to make a big mush of colors, and you'll never get the scales really nice again. So I wouldn't go for scales. Or if you want to do some, like a black dot at the back of the head, sometimes it's a nice pattern to have. That'll stay roughly because it's big and bold, so even if the fibers move a little bit, you still have that shape of a big dot. Another thing that works is maybe painting the end of your streamer, the tail, nice hot orange or something like that. That works perfect as well. So that's about the pattern and what you can achieve with the airbrush. So spraying, the action of spraying, yeah. So spraying, fairly simple. Like I said, many videos on YouTube. Train, do a lot of airbrushing on paper, on cardboard. Just get used to the gun and the pressure. pressure, you'll see it between 2 and 3 psi, like depending on the thickness of your paint and the size of your needle. But it's not rocket science, seriously, because like I said, we're not making tiny little details. We just want a nice big black stripe on the side of the streamer, or blending colors. So that's fairly easily done, and you don't need to be a great artist to do that. But train a good bit, so get to know your gun and your paint and your setup before you start wrecking some nice flies that you've tied. What else do we have? All right, cleaning the gun. So that is probably the most important part of the airbrushing, is having your gun nice and clean. So what I do is take apart the gun first, like give it a good rinse with water, clean the cup like you're changing the colors, like and then give it a good rinse first, and then take it apart. It has to be taken apart every time, so get familiar with all the parts, how they go. It's not that complicated. It's a bit like a gun. You get the trigger, you get the spring, you have everything in it, but it's not that complicated to put back. Like so what I do, clean the needle. So usually water is fine, like, you know, or if you after a long session, maybe some alcohol, if the paint is really getting sticky and drying, that could be a problem. But like, you just clean it with a little bit of alcohol and it'll come off. One thing you have to be really careful, it's that needle. It's a really fine tip. First, don't stab yourself, because it'll go deep. And the other thing as well is that be careful not to damage the fine end of that tip, because it's so thin that even a little bent will catch the paint when it'll fire out of the gun, and you'll get a different spray pattern. So make sure that needle is nice and straight. Don't try to straighten back up. If you bang it, if you drop it, and if it's bent, you can buy spare needles, and they're not that expensive as well. So get yourself a set of spare needle, even if you start with it. And the thing I like as well, I think the best tip I got for airbrushing is that to keep your airbrush wet, keep it in water, keep it in a little Tupperware in a glass with some water. Like that, you're sure that no parts are going to dry out. They're usually made out of brass, so there's no worries about deteriorating or rusting or anything like that. So keep it in water, and you'll always have a really easy to function airbrush. What I do, I got a little ultrasonic cleaner for jewelries and glasses and watches, and that kind of finishes the cleaning after. Once you're clean with your kitchen towel, I put everything in the ultrasonic cleaner and stick it on for whatever cycle it is, and then once it's done, I'll just leave it there till the next time I use it. So that's basically it. So what else? I think I kind of went roughly around everything. So if I missed some parts, if you want to know a little bit more about it, if you're more curious, give me a shout in the comment section below. Again, thanks for watching, and from my studio kitchen, I'll see you next time. Bye.